Good morning, garden friends. As you guys know, we've been having some really below freezing temperatures. So today, I really need to go ahead and get my limelights, or the remaining limelights, trimmed back. Because the one thing that I had noticed, and I don't know about you guys, because they still have the plumes on it, earlier in the year, I, took a lot of the branches off to give it some structure. Today, I am going to be trimming it back because like I initially stated, I don't know about you guys, but when we had that rain that froze, it ended up bending over my hydrangeas because the plumes were still on. So what I'm going to get done today is I have 6 hydrangeas, 2 lime primes, 1 limelight, and then, oh no, I got 2 limelights and then 2 quick fires that I want to get the plumes cut off because I don't know if we're going to end up having another freezing rain, and then the weight of the ice ends up weakening my branches and then they end up breaking off. So that's what I'm going to end up doing today. And then this is the thing, you end up hearing different techniques in regards to how you should prune your hydrangeas. Some say just cut it straight across above the bud. Some say at an angle to alleviate, rain possibly settling on the branch, and then you end up having possible disease or weakening the branch. I'm going to be cutting these guys at an angle, and like I said, just more or less getting the plumes off. It's February, the beginning of February. I figure hopefully by middle of February, we're going to have some decent enough weather so I can get in there and any of the spindly branches, get those guys cut off. I'm just doing this today because of the weather. I'm not doing that shaping, that getting the, spindly branches out. I just want to be able to get these plumes off so that if we do end up having some more freezing rain and temperatures, I'm not going to have to worry about it weighing down and possibly breaking the nice branches. So let's head on over here and get this knocked out so that these guys will be ready come, March, April, when they start to swell and leaves start to form. Okay, so you can see where I ended up cutting it last year and I ended up getting, shoots off of here. So I'm actually going to be cutting it, going up 2 nodes above so that it ends up when a shoot comes off, I do have a pretty substantial stem for it to grow off of. And then 2, I want it to be nice and even for these guys. And like I said, I'm just trying to get the plumes off. Mid-February, I'll go in and get like the spindly branches cut so that, and anything that is crossing over, get that cleaned out and shaped up. So I have 6 of them back here that I'm going to go ahead and get shaped up. And this is a good thing in regards to these paniculatas because they grow on new wood. You don't have to worry about it not producing. I've seen where some have like cut it down really, really low. The one year I just cut off where the plumes were with the hope of them not getting top heavy when it rained. I had some that were smaller, but the weight of the rain ended up having them tipping over. So I'm kind of hoping that going this route, it will end up allowing for stronger stems and these guys not to fall over. Now, the one thing that they do say is to have anywhere between 5 to 8 very strong branches, and I got those. But I do think in mid-February, I'm gonna probably cut some more of these branches off because I want it to be going vertical and not have, you know, the branches going out this way. And I do see some down here at the bottom that I will more than likely go ahead and get those cut off. So let's get in here and get these guys cleaned up so that they can be ready for spring. And guys, because the temperature is rather cold and the wind is blowing, I'll go ahead and get this done and then I'll get back on so I can show you what these 3 guys look like before I head over to my quick fires and my other Limelight. And this is the thing, guys. I have, or I should say I had 50 hydrangeas in my garden, but those were endless summers. I ended up giving 6 of them to one of my garden buddies because my yard is just way too much sun for endless summers. Now, I was able to keep 3 of them that I put in pots, but they are in an area that only gets the morning sun and they do well. That's the thing, you know, understanding my yard, while I do love them, it is not, they are not conducive for my garden. So those are things that, you know, we as gardeners have to acknowledge. While we may like something, if it doesn't make sense to have it in your garden, don't have it in your garden, you know, especially if you're not going to be able to enjoy the beauty of it. So let's go ahead and get this knocked out. Okay, so I got them all trimmed, and what I did was try to make sure that they were all even in height. Now, while I want the hedge, but I want some definition in between them because I have daffodils, I have hostas lined up here, and usually because these guys get so big and then end up tipping over, it ends up blocking those plants that I have in here. Now, one of the things that I am going to be doing later in this month is, you see, I have some branches that are crossing over, and I'm gonna go ahead and get anything that is crossing over cut back. That one there has one, you know, one that I'll probably need to use my loppers to cut that, because it's not only crossing over, it's like intertwining. Can you see that? So I'm gonna go ahead and get that cut off later on in the month because I'm trying to get these guys done. But yeah, it looks good. I went ahead and some of the spindly branches, I went ahead and cut them off, but that final shaping will be mid-February. So now, even though these hydrangeas bloom on new wood, I chose to prune in stages rather than all at one time. For me, it's about being conscientious of the plant, not just necessarily following a rule book. And I say that by pruning in stages, it allows me to observe the structure of the plant so I can determine the shape, which I think I did. I also end up reducing the height, so energy is directed more towards creating stronger branches. Plus, it can help with reducing stress or shock, getting the plant, even though it's, in dormancy. Now, is this process of pruning my hydrangeas slower? Yep. But this is being more intentional by allowing me to shape thoughtfully and respond to what the plant is showing me rather than cutting everything back at once. And like I said, I'll go in here mid-February and get any branches that are crossing over, or spindly branches, or even ones that end up extending out. Let's go on over to the meadow garden and get those 3 hydrangeas cut back. The one thing that I will say about the hydrangeas in my yard, they apparently love where they're at, because this one here, I think, is 4 years old. Yeah, 4 years old, and it's a good 7 foot tall, and it looks absolutely gorgeous, when it is in full bloom. And then my quick fires. These guys love this spot because last year, even though it was like humid, these guys were pink, so, and that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to be pink. So this ends up looking really beautiful with my rose bush right there in the center. All right, so let me go ahead and get these trimmed back. And as you can see, these guys got a lot of spindly branches in here that I'm gonna go ahead and get some of them out. But like I said, anything that's crossing over, I will do that in the middle of February. Okay, so my last 3 hydrangeas are done. And while there's no blooms on it, I just like that very nice and neat look. And then 2, this one here, because I do have my lemon coral sedum in those boxes, hopefully as the weather gets better, it'll end up having more sun to it so that it can continue to grow like the other ones that I have in those boxes. All right, garden friends, while it is chilly out here, this was good. It was good to be able to be out in the garden, getting my hydrangeas trimmed up. And like I said, mid-February, yeah, I'll go in, and any branches that are crossing over, any other spindly branches, I'm gonna go ahead and get those cut out. And also at that time, get all of my hydrangeas fed so that they can have a very healthy start and be beautiful for this spring and summer season. Well, thank you again for visiting Inspiring Garden Corner, and I look forward to seeing you next time.